Have you ever stopped to think how a simple mistake can completely change the course of someone's life? Sometimes a decision made in an instant out of distraction, pressure, or even overconfidence can trigger consequences no one could have imagined. Today, we're going to explore 20 incredible stories of people who faced the unexpected, made remarkable mistakes, or were involved in extreme situations, leaving legacies ranging from comedic to tragic. Hello, restless minds. I'm Code, and this is Discover It, where curiosity knows no limits. Subscribe and help the channel grow, because every time you like, comment, or share, you're helping us bring these discoveries to more people. Together, we can create a community where curiosity can change the world. Now, get ready. What lessons can these 20 fascinating stories teach us about the limits of resilience, error, and overcoming challenges? On September 23, 1908, the Polo Grounds Stadium was abuzz. The game between the New York Giants and the Chicago Cubs was crucial in deciding the championship's outcome, and Fred Merkel, a young player, was about to feature in one of baseball's most infamous moments. In a decisive play, Merkel hit a single that seemed to secure the Giants' victory. However, amidst the euphoria, he made a fatal mistake. He didn't touch second base before leaving the field, believing the game was over. Can you imagine being one step away from being the hero of the day, and then, you become the villain of the decade? Well, that's exactly what happened to Fred Merkel. And let me tell you, this story is gut-wrenching and scoreboard-tangling. Then, Johnny Evers, the cunning Cubs player, noticed the mistake. He quickly retrieved the ball and touched second base, claiming a technical out. The umpires, adhering to the rules, nullified what would have been the Giants' winning run. The game was declared a tie, forcing a playoff match that resulted in a Cubs victory and eventual championship title. Merkel went from hero to villain in the blink of an eye, forever remembered for this slip-up now known as Merkel's boner. But how can a single mistake carry such massive repercussions? Merkel, only 19 at the time, saw his career marred by criticism and derogatory nicknames. Although he continued playing professionally, he could never shake off the stigma, even after years of strong performance. Many wonder if he would have handled the pressure better in today's era, with psychological support and a more humane understanding of mistakes. Even today, his error is cited as a cautionary tale about the importance of details, especially under pressure. What's most striking is the contrast between the simplicity of the mistake and the far-reaching consequences it created, reminding us how thin the line between triumph and defeat can be. Could Merkel have ever imagined the day would change his life forever? It was a seemingly calm morning in 1982 when Michael Fagan, an ordinary man from London, decided to do something extraordinary and incredibly dangerous. He scaled the gates of Buckingham Palace, dodged guards and alarms, and entered the heart of the British monarchy. With no elaborate plan or clear motive, he found his way to the bedroom of none other than Queen Elizabeth II. The Queen, known for her composure, awoke to find Fagan in her room. The scene could have been comedic, but quickly turned terrifying. During the 10 minutes they spent alone, Fagan confided his personal troubles to the Queen, who, in an act of courage and calmness, listened attentively. There were no guards or security nearby, a detail that raised serious questions about the vulnerability of the royal family. How did Fagan bypass so many security systems? Buckingham Palace was considered one of the most secure places in the world, yet basic flaws allowed him to climb a drain pipe, traverse corridors, and even break a glass ashtray, injuring himself in the process. Alarms went off but were deactivated by security staff, assuming they were faulty. The blind faith in the systems failed spectacularly, and this was only realized when Fagan was face-to-face with the Queen. Despite the gravity of the situation, Fagan wasn't immediately arrested since trespassing wasn't a crime at the time. He was eventually taken to a psychiatric hospital for evaluation. This bold invasion, marked by both audacity and systemic fragility, raises an intriguing question. How can a sense of invulnerability blind even the most powerful institutions? Imagine surviving something that few ever experience and living to tell the tale. Now, imagine enduring it not once but 7 times. This was the unbelievable journey of Roy Sullivan, a park ranger at Shenandoah National Park in the United States, who earned the title Human Lightning Rod. Between 1942 and 1977, he was struck by lightning 7 times, a record noted in the Guinness Book. The first incident happened in 1942 while Sullivan was in a lookout tower during a storm. Lightning struck the structure, partially burning him, but it wasn't enough to deter him from his job. In 1969, he was hit while driving his truck. The electricity entered through the open window, a phenomenon considered unlikely given modern vehicle protections. The following years brought similarly bizarre incidents, each more improbable than the last. Roy believed he was cursed by some kind of electrical fate. He even avoided social events and open spaces out of fear of endangering others. Yet, escaping seemed impossible. In 1973, lightning struck him on his own property. On another occasion, he was hit while fishing, losing his eyebrows and hair in the process. Despite all this, he always survived, suffering injuries ranging from minor burns to severe scars. His story sparks intriguing questions. How can the odds of such a rare event repeat so many times? Some experts suggest that Roy's job, which often exposed him to outdoor storms, increased the risk. Others theorize that certain physical or environmental traits might have played a role. But was it all just coincidence? Or is there something unexplainable connecting Sullivan to nature's most unpredictable force? In April 2003, experienced mountaineer Aaron Ralston set out to explore the remote Blue John Canyon in Utah alone and without informing anyone of his plans. He was accustomed to challenges, but nothing could have prepared him for what lay ahead. During a descent, an approximately 400-kilogram boulder fell and trapped his right arm against the canyon wall. Immobilized and unable to communicate, Aaron faced a desperate fight for survival that would last 127 hours. Guys, never underestimate Mother Nature. And never forget to tell someone about your adventures. Aaron Ralston learned this the hardcore way. Seriously, this story will have you glued to your seat. In the first days, he tried everything. Using his knife to chip away at the rock, pulling with improvised ropes, even attempting to crush his arm bones against the boulder. Nothing worked. As his water and food supply dwindled, he began recording farewell messages on his camera. Believing his life was nearing its end, the solitude, freezing nights, and growing dehydration led to hallucinations that nearly broke his spirit. On the 5th day, Aaron made a radical, courageous decision. Using a small, dull knife he had with him, he amputated his own arm, meticulously cutting through skin, muscles, and bones. The process was excruciating, but adrenaline and determination kept him focused. After freeing himself, he scaled a 20-meter wall and walked over 10 kilometers before being found by a family of tourists who called for rescue. Aaron's story isn't just a testament to physical survival, but also unmatched mental resilience. He turned this experience into inspiration, publishing a book and giving talks worldwide. His account forces us to reflect. How far would we go to survive? And how would we cope with the isolation and despair Aaron faced alone in that canyon? On June 23, 2018, a group of 12 boys, aged 11 to 16, and their 25-year-old soccer coach decided to explore the depths of the Tam Luang Cave in northern Thailand. It was meant to be a short adventure, but the unexpected happened. Torrential rains flooded the cave entrance, trapping the group inside. With water levels rising and narrow passages blocked, the situation quickly became desperate. While families waited for news, international rescue teams were called in. Cave diving experts, engineers, and even the Thai Navy worked tirelessly to locate the boys, navigating submerged passages and deadly hazards. After 9 days of searching, divers finally found the group, miraculously alive, on a small elevated ledge. They were weak but kept hopeful thanks to the emotional support of their coach, who shared his meager food supply and kept the boys focused on survival. The rescue, however, was an almost impossible mission. Conditions were extreme. Passages as narrow as 40 centimeters, zero visibility, and strong water currents. To bring the group to the surface, rescuers employed a bold strategy. Each boy was sedated to prevent panic during the underwater journey and guided by experienced divers. The operation lasted 3 days and involved over 1,000 people with moments of intense tension. The success of the rescue was an extraordinary achievement, but not without sacrifices. A Thai diver lost his life during the operation, a somber reminder of the risks involved. The story of the young group and their coach moved the world, showcasing the power of solidarity and courage in the face of the impossible. But did this experience permanently change the lives of those who faced fear and the unknown inside the cave? Timothy Treadwell was a man passionate about grizzly bears. For 13 consecutive summers, he lived among the animals in Katmai National Park, Alaska, documenting his interactions and advocating for their protection. He believed he had formed a special bond with the bears. But this relationship ended tragically in October 2003, when Timothy and his girlfriend, Amy Huguenot, were fatally attacked by one. Imagine living your life as if it were a National Geographic documentary, only for the ending to turn into a horror movie. Timothy Treadwell was brave, but did he trust the wild too much? Treadwell documented his adventures through videos and journals, many of which captured his almost spiritual connection to nature. He saw himself as a protector of the bears, often ignoring experts' warnings about the dangers of getting too close. Despite his good intentions, he neglected reality. The bears were wild, and the environment he lived in was unpredictable. On that fateful night, a bear entered the couple's campsite. Timothy's camera, which was on, recorded the harrowing sounds of the attack, though it did not capture any visuals. It was a brutal moment that completely contrasted with the harmonious image Timothy sought to convey about the bears. Experts believe the bear that attacked them was old and starving, a fatal combination that spared no one, not even someone as familiar with them as Treadwell. His death sparked intense debates. Many criticized Timothy for romanticizing bears and underestimating the risks, while others saw him as an example of someone who lived with passion and dedication to his cause. The tragedy raises a complex question. How close can we get to the wild without forgetting that it is, by nature, uncontrollable and relentless? Jamie Molnar, a British skier passionate about high-altitude adventures, faced absolute terror while exploring the glaciers of Sosfie, Switzerland. During a high-speed descent, he lost control while trying to avoid an icy fissure known as a crevasse and fell 18 meters into it. Trapped between the icy walls, Jamie found himself in one of the most claustrophobic and perilous scenarios imaginable. The fall was captured by his helmet-mounted GoPro, which recorded the exact moment he plunged into the void, followed by eerie silence, broken only by his heavy breathing. Miraculously, Jamie suffered no severe injuries, but was alone with no obvious means of escape. He used his radio to contact his brother, who was in another part of the mountain, providing his location and calling for help. While waiting for rescue, Jamie battled intense cold and isolation. The crevasse walls were smooth and covered in solid ice, making climbing impossible. With little light and intermittent gusts of wind, he remained calm and conserved energy, waiting for rescuers. When the team arrived, they used advanced climbing techniques and ropes to pull him out. Hours of tension ensued until Jamie finally emerged to safety. Jamie's story is not just an example of physical survival, but also of mental control. Many wonder how he managed to stay calm in the face of such imminent danger. His experience highlights the importance of preparation and communication in extreme adventures, but it also leaves us with a reflection. How often do we underestimate the power of nature and place ourselves in situations where only luck or training can save us? In 1993, Émile Loret, a French engineer, found himself stranded in one of the planet's most hostile regions, the Sahara Desert. He was traveling alone in his Citroën 2CV, a simple car, when he collided with a rock, severely damaging the vehicle. With no way to repair the car and miles from any form of help, he faced a desperate choice: stay put and wait for rescue, which could take days, or use his ingenuity to survive. Deciding that waiting was not an option, Emil used his technical knowledge to turn what seemed useless into something extraordinary. He dismantled the Citroën, removing essential parts like the axle, tires, and engine, and spent 12 days building an improvised motorcycle. Working under extreme temperatures and battling fierce winds, he stayed motivated, using basic tools and sheer determination to create a vehicle that could save his life. The rudimentary motorcycle, made entirely from car parts, wasn't elegant, but was functional. Finally, Emil managed to ride it across the desert to a distant village. His ingenuity not only saved his life, but also earned him worldwide recognition for his creativity and adaptability in extreme circumstances. Emil's case is not just a story of survival, but also an impressive example of what human creativity is capable of. It makes us wonder how many of us could turn despair into an opportunity to innovate. And in the face of such extreme adversity, would we have the calm and focus needed to create something that could literally save our lives? In 1704, Alexander Selkirk, a Scottish sailor, made a decision that would change his life forever. Following a disagreement with his ship's captain, he requested to be left on an uninhabited island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. The location, now known as Robinson Crusoe Island, was over 640 kilometers off the coast of Chile. He believed he would be rescued soon, but what followed was a solitary survival journey that lasted more than 4 years. Initially, Selkirk faced despair and isolation. He had few supplies: a pistol, some gunpowder, basic tools, clothing, and a Bible. However, over time, his adaptability emerged. He built shelters from wood and leaves, domesticated goats for milk and meat, and crafted clothing from their hides. To protect himself from rats that invaded his hut at night, he trained wild cats that also lived on the island. Selkirk maintained his health thanks to a diet of goat meat, fish, and local fruits. He also avoided common diseases of the time, like scurvy, due to access to fresh food and clean, abundant water. But his greatest challenge was loneliness. To preserve his sanity, he read the Bible repeatedly and developed a disciplined routine of work and meditation. Reports indicate that singing and talking to himself were also ways he coped with isolation. Finally, in 1709, he was rescued by a British ship passing by the island. Alexander Selkirk's story inspired writer Daniel Defoe to create the classic Robinson Crusoe, a work that captures the essence of humanity's struggle against adversity. But Selkirk leaves us with a profound question. What keeps us alive when everything we know is taken from us? Is it physical strength, adaptability, or the mind's power to find hope in the deepest solitude? Victoria Seiler, an experienced British skydiver with over 2,600 jumps to her name, faced one of the most terrifying moments of her life in 2015. During what seemed like a routine jump over Salisbury Plain in England, both her main parachute and reserve failed, sending her into a free fall toward the ground. But the most shocking part? It wasn't an accident. Her husband, an army sergeant, had sabotaged her equipment with the intent to kill her. Skydiving, the sport that gives you adrenaline and sometimes a near heart attack. Now, imagine discovering midair that someone sabotaged your parachute. Can you believe it? This story will send chills down your spine. Literally, the moment she realized the failure, Victoria desperately tried to deploy the reserve parachute, but to no avail. At 4,000 feet above the ground, impact seemed inevitable. Miraculously, Victoria landed on a plowed field, which absorbed some of the shock. She survived the fall, but suffered multiple fractures, including a broken pelvis and several vertebrae. Even so, her physical resilience and sheer willpower kept her alive until help arrived. The investigation revealed a chilling plot. Her husband, Emil Silliers, had tampered with the equipment days earlier, cutting the parachute straps. He had also attempted to cause a gas explosion at their home in a prior murder attempt. His motives? Greed and a desire to claim Victoria's life insurance, coupled with an extramarital affair. After a tense trial, Emile was sentenced to life in prison. Victoria's story is not only a tale of physical survival, but also one of emotional resilience. After the event, she shared her experience in interviews and even wrote a book, transforming tragedy into a source of strength and inspiration for others. But her journey raises an unsettling question. How do we cope with the betrayal of someone we deeply trust? And how do we find the strength to rebuild after such a cruel attempt at destruction? Blake and Neil Stanfield, a father and son duo, set out for an adventure along the Kokoluk River in remote Alaska in 2006. What was meant to be a peaceful journey in nature turned into a fight for survival when the weather suddenly changed. Strong winds and freezing temperatures caused ice to form on the river, trapping their small boat and leaving them stranded in one of the world's most unforgiving environments. With insufficient food and worsening cold, the pair had to improvise. They built a rudimentary shelter using available materials, including parts of their boat and tree branches. Fishing was nearly impossible due to the ice, and their primary source of warmth came from a small stove they managed to shield from the wind. Drinking water was obtained by melting ice, but with supplies running low, hope began to wane. The most harrowing moment came when Neil, the father, decided to risk his life to seek help while Blake, just 16, stayed behind in their makeshift shelter. Neil walked for days in sub-zero temperatures, braving snow and constant storms, until he was found by a rescue team already searching for them. After 5 intense days of searching, Blake was also located, exhausted but alive, thanks to his father's survival instructions. This experience underscores how the bond between father and son and the ability to improvise in extreme conditions were crucial to their survival. The Stanfield story not only demonstrates the strength of human connection, but also raises an important reflection. What would we be willing to sacrifice for those we love? And how do we keep hope alive when everything seems against us? In May 1999, Anna Begenholm, a young Norwegian radiologist, faced what seemed like a death sentence when she fell into a frozen stream during a skiing trip in the mountains near Narvik. Losing control, she broke through a thin layer of ice and became trapped beneath the surface, submerged in freezing water for an astonishing 80 minutes. What followed became one of the most extraordinary survival cases in modern medicine. You know that chill down your spine? Anna Begenholm took it to a whole new level. Submerged in icy water for 80 minutes and still lived to tell the tale. Incredible or unbelievable? You decide. Anna found a small air pocket under the ice, which allowed her to breathe for some time while her friends frantically tried to rescue her. Using ski poles and their bare hands, they fought to break the ice and pull her back to the surface, but the effort seemed endless. By the time rescuers arrived, Anna was in cardiac arrest with a body temperature of just 13.7 degrees Celsius, far below what is typically considered fatal. She was airlifted to a hospital in Tromsø, where a medical team initiated an innovative procedure to warm her blood. Using an extracorporeal circulation machine, they reintroduced warmed blood into her body while attempting to revive her heart. After over 3 hours of relentless efforts, Anna came back to life, setting a record for the lowest body temperature ever recorded in a surviving human. Anna's recovery was slow, but remarkable. She returned to work as a doctor within a year, with almost no lasting effects. Her experience is a testament to the incredible potential of medical science and human resilience. But her story also makes us reflect. How far can willpower take someone in extreme situations? And what does it teach us about the limits of the human body and the determination to live? The stories we explored today reveal how unpredictable life can be, filled with challenges and twists that test our physical, emotional, and even moral limits. From miraculous survivals to tragic errors and absurd situations, each of these experiences teaches us something unique about human resilience and the power of adaptation in the face of the unexpected. In many cases, it's clear that the true hero is not the one who avoids mistakes, but the one who finds the strength to overcome them. If you enjoyed this journey of discoveries, don't forget to leave a like, share with friends, and comment below on what caught your attention the most. Maybe others will relate, and we can create a great conversation. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more content where curiosity knows no limits.